Welcome to a special edition of the Group Practice Accelerator podcast, brought to you by Polaris Healthcare Partners, where we leverage decades of healthcare and business experience to drive growth in successful group practices just like yours. If you're a healthcare entrepreneur and you're interested in building, scaling, or exiting your group practice, you've found not only the industry's leading resource for business education, but a team of trusted advisors dedicated to helping you achieve and exceed your goals. In short, the team at Polaris creates clarity, confidence, and results. I'm your host, Jamie Falosh, and the Group Practice Accelerator podcast is on the air. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me again this week. As you might have caught in the intro, today's episode is a special edition, and I'm really excited because, as you might remember from a sneak peek we did back in September, on another episode, we made a big announcement about a great opportunity that we put together with our friends at Midmark. And it's for those of you looking to add locations, grow with laser focus, with efficiency, with purpose, and to really nail down maximum value, whether that's through de novos or acquisitions. And since that opportunity is coming in March and will be here before you know it, we're going to use today's episode to go ahead and answer some questions that we've been getting and really get into some of the content around the event, the sessions during the event, just so you know what to expect from our time together. And so you can get registered before seats fill up because they are limited. So as a reminder, Multisite Mastery, Designing Growth with Confidence is scheduled for March 25th through the 27th at the beautiful Midmark Design Center in Versailles, Ohio. And here with me again today to dive into those sessions and tell us a lot more about the event are Midmark's VP of Sales, Ted Kahajas, and Polaris CEO, Diwakar Sinha. Gentlemen, great to have you back.
Thank you,
Nice to be
Jamie.
here.
Great to see you both.
Well, good. Let's jump in and let's do a little rewind first and tell our listeners, if by chance they might have missed the last episode back in September, they can go back and hear that. But let's give them a little overview of what we talked about in terms of the event itself. What are we doing and why? You know, what are we going to talk about? What's the purpose of the event? Let's start with a little recap there.
Sure. Yeah. So I think the main audience, right? The people that need to be there, it's the emerging groups, right? So the groups that are 3 to 5 locations that are in the growth phase, that are trying to get to and doing de novos or acquisitions and trying to figure out what's the plan for my growth. Am I doing de novos or acquisitions? How do I think about my growth strategy? Those are the groups that need to be thinking about coming here that are trying to define their business plan. We're going to be diving deep into how to think about de novo strategies. And if they're looking at acquisitions, how to think about their acquisitions as well. We're going to be diving deep into the business plan aspect of it, how to think about their business plan. How does integrations need to look like? How do partnership strategies need to look like? How do design aspects need to look like? And then, so our sweet spot is somebody that's 3 to 5 locations, trying to get to about 20 to 30 locations. That's really the who that needs to be thinking about attending this event. And this is an intimate environment over the 2.5 days in Versailles, Ohio.
Absolutely. And Ted, I'll go to you on this one. Give us a little bit more of a picture of the what. Tell us about where Versailles, Ohio is and what people can expect in terms of the facility, the accommodations, and maybe we'll get back into some of the content after that.
Sure, absolutely. So Versailles, Ohio is located in Northwest Ohio, about 40 minutes northwest of Dayton, Ohio. Little town of about 2,800 people. And we have been incorporated there since 1967. Versailles, currently, we are not the largest employer in Versailles, in spite of just 2,800 people that live there. It's a quaint town, and what can the attendees expect? First and foremost, we're going to host it on Midmark's campus. And a very short mile away, most of our guests will be staying at the Midmark Versailles Hotel that was newly constructed 2 years ago. And we'll be dining at the Silas Restaurant, which is part of the Hotel Versailles. So all the accommodations will be accounted for. No reason to make any reservations. That's all going to be taken care of. In fact, even transportation will be taken care of, depending on which airport you're going to fly into. There's 3 regional airports that you can fly into, or international airports, Dayton being the closest. And then Columbus, which has probably the most accessibility to most major airports direct, and also Cincinnati. And both Cincinnati and Columbus are about just under 2 hours away. But again, we'll provide the transportation. We just need you to get there.
Sure. And for those of you who have never been to the Midmark Experience Center, gosh, I am lucky enough to have been there a couple of times, and it's an incredible experience. It's beautifully put together. It's so well thought out, and the hospitality is unmatched. It's unmatched. So, thank you for having me a couple of times out there. It's been a pleasure. So, I'm excited to bring our guests to your facility, and really give them that same experience. Now, let's jump into a little bit more specifics on content and what to expect around that. We've got speakers from the Polaris side, we've got speakers from the Midmark side, and we've got some guests. So, DeWalker, maybe I'll go to you first. Do you want to run through some of the sessions and what people can look to hear about from us and from our guests as well?
Yeah, sure. So I think, first of all, as groups are looking at their growth strategy, right? So I think as we talk to founders across the nation, they're trying to define their vision. What does their vision look like? So we'll do a deep dive into how to think about their growth strategies, their business plans. And this will be an active session and workshop into how to define their plan, their legacy. As they're thinking about 3 locations, 5 locations, 15 locations, and beyond in their business plan process. We're going to have Dr. Vivek Solanki come in and talk about how he built the de novo strategy on a clinical process, how to mentor doctors through success, and what that looks like in a de novo process as well. From his 2, 3 locations to 7+ locations, and what that journey looks like. So I think that's going to be very impactful from a clinical founder's lens and how that journey looks like on that aspect. And then also, the next aspect's gonna be defining your business plan on a core economic aspect of it. So we're gonna dive deeper into the business plan component of how to not only define that internally within your organization, how to filter that to your operational team, how to filter that to your regional managers, but also externally communicate that when you source capital, when you source equity partners, and how to strategically do that on a larger macro level. Beyond that, partnership strategies. Should you have a partnership strategy? Do they work? Not all every group needs a partnership strategy. And if you do that through a de novo model and are bringing in a partnership strategy, what kind of partnership strategy do you need for a de novo model or an acquisition model? What does that look like? So, and then what does the right equity model looks like? What is if you're doing a de novo model, what does building equity mean on a growth strategy? So we're going to kind of go in through all those aspects of it.
And then what about legal structure? I know we've got Sarah Stock coming in to present for us on a lot of that legal structure. Can you touch on a little bit of her session as well?
Yeah, so we're delighted to have Sarah Stock with Stock Legal present. I think organizational structure provide meaningful clarity for organizations as they're scaling, right? So not only does it provide clarity into a partnership strategy, it provides clarity into growing as an organization and access to capital, right? Banks like it because it allows banks to understand, okay, where am I lending? As far as who's my borrower, who's my co-borrower. That's on the bank side, but also partnership-wise allows partners to understand where's my ownership structure look like. And as a principal founder, it allows you to understand, how am I growing long term as a business? How am I going to continue to acquire practices? How am I going to do de novos across different locations? So I think bringing her in allows the attendees to understand what does corporate structure look like? What does corporate governance look like? And it's not going to be a boring topic. It's actually going to be exciting in the fact that people get to understand that corporate governance allows you to grow in an exciting way and allows you to have a clear understanding for growth.
Sure. And that structure is the foundation of everything that we do. And just like it's the foundation for what we do, I know it is for Midmark as well, because when you're building a de novo or re-outfitting an acquisition, that comes with its own processes. Ted, can you walk through some of those sessions that we're going to talk about and some guests that you've invited as well?
Sure, happy to, Jamie. But let me just take a step back real quick. And this will be our 14th year that we're inviting guests back to Versailles to really learn about their practices and design principles. Although the majority of those years were really focused on private practice, The principles that we will discuss and present really have dramatic implications for group practices as well. And really, what DeWalker mentioned about those practices that we're really trying to identify that could benefit from this course. But I'll kind of bring it down to three basic principles that we will discuss. One is really building beyond today. Building long-term success through making smart equipment decisions. Secondly, one of our key speakers, Dr. Jeff Carter. Jeff's been a practicing dentist now for well over 40 years. I had a private practice, went into group practice, and part owner of a very small DSO. He worked for THE Design Group, and back in 2004, he and his wife, Pat Carter, started the Practice Design Group. And through that time, almost 21 years now, have to their credit over 5,000 dental practices that they helped design, private practice all the way up to group practice as well. So really what Jeff talks about is the foundational designing principles of a practice. And whether it's an individual practice, private practice, or group practice, the principles really do apply. So he'll talk about how thoughtful design decisions impact both not just the patient, but also the practice success and the staff experience. And secondly, he'll talk about zoning, he'll talk about layouts, really the importance of branding the dental practice so it resonates with patients, compliance, and then also ergonomics. Ergonomics is vitally important for every practicing dentist, hygienist, and dental assistant. And the third area that we're going to lean into is, excuse the pun, lean principles. And that's modeled after Toyota production systems, which we worked with Toyota years ago to develop the Midmark production systems. And that application, that lean principle, applies to private practice and businesses, similarly, and even more importantly, to group practices. And our audience will have a chance to walk through our factory and really see how we apply lean principles within Midmark that can also be applied within our private practice. So those three key areas we feel are very prominent for the growth, sustainability of group practices that are really interested in this type of workshop. And let me emphasize again, this is a unique workshop. It's a hands-on. We're going to roll up our sleeves. We're going to work together. We want to make sure that the audience leaves with a workbook that gives them the confidence to move forward to scale. Whether it's 3 to 6 and they want to get to 25, whatever that goal may be, we want to be there to help them get there by instilling that confidence within the start of a workbook.
Yeah, you said it, that keyword, confidence. You've got to have the right information, the right tools, the right advisors and guidance to keep you on that path to confidence so that you can build the business that you want to build. And it sounds like all this content's going to fall right in line with all that. So thank you both for sharing a little bit about the event. I know we want to give people a little bit of a sneak peek so they can go ahead and register. There's a lot more detail on content once you visit the landing page, and I'll include a link in the show notes here. You can also find on the events tab at the Polaris website, you can find that landing page, a little more detail on the event itself. But it has been wonderful to have you both here again with me today to share more information about Multisite Mastery. And it's right around the corner. It's coming up in March, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Very good.
Look forward to seeing everyone.
Thank you, Don Walker. Hey, we're really excited to host everyone in Versailles in March, and excited to do whatever you guys want to do with this one. You
Thanks,
took the last 10 seconds.
Well, great. And to our audience, again, I'll link to the event page in the show notes where you can go explore for yourself and get registered before seats fill up. Like I said, they are limited for this event, but we'd love to see you there. So thanks for supporting us here on the podcast, and be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our newsletter so you can stay up to date on events like this, news, and you'll also get DeWalker's weekly articles that are really valuable for the growth and value of your business. So as always, if you want to connect with us here at Polaris, please reach out to us with questions, suggestions for topics, that type of thing. You can send us an email at info@polarishealthcarepartners.com, or you can also reach us by visiting our website at polarishealthcarepartners.com. Click on that Contact Us button, and we'll get back in touch with you shortly. Thanks so much for being a loyal listener and subscriber. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend or colleague, and be sure to leave us a rating on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you on the next episode of the Group Practice Accelerator Podcast.